Alright, so it's time to start working on these front floors here. Kind of get the area in front done. I got to get some of this inner panel done here. And then I'm going to start cut these in. Again, you guys who've watched the videos before, I am going to notch out. Right here, I'm going to cut out this area, kind of straight line across here. And the reason that is connecting up these tubes from underneath is near impossible to do. So those of you guys think that you can do it that way, you'll find out it's much easier to just notch that area out, connect all your tubes up, weld them in place if you have those things out already, and even if you're just going to cut this out right here and then weld the same section back in. So let's say you've already cut the whole front floor out and you got those tubes out, put the tubes back in place, cut out right here and right here so that you can just slide the floor in, and then take this little piece and weld it in place after the floors are in place. Do that at the very end. I do it, the way I do it is I'll leave the existing metal that's there right here, and I'll set the floor in place. Then I'll just have it lap a little bit right here. Honestly, you don't really notice it. It's like that on my other bus. Maybe I'll look at it, I'll show you. If you look really closely, you can see this is lapped all the way along. Look, see, you can see the double layers right there. It's not something you notice until I showed you. If I never showed you that, you wouldn't even know it was like that. And you see how it's lapped in the middle? You could actually put caulking along the top edge and you would really not even see it. It's not visible very, very easily unless you're just putting your face down there. So from right here, you don't notice it at all. So if you notice on that one, I actually left, all the way from like right here all the way over, and just lapped them together. And it's such a small area that you just don't even go. Your face doesn't go there unless you're where the camera is. You're normally about right here. So you're not looking down, and when the floor's in and it's got the mat in there, you don't really notice it. So it's up to you if you want to try and fight for hours to try and save to get a 2% difference in job. That's up to you. I don't bother with that because I'm looking for about 80%, and then 80% is a nice looking van. So, like I said, I'm not doing this for the next 2 generations of people. I'm not interested in them. I'm interested in my generation, and if I can, if it'll last 30 years, that's a pretty good repair. So that's all I'm looking for. So anyway, the guy's going for 100 years or whatever. I really don't think it's possible. It's still going to rust somewhere. So they're going to have issues. It's still going to come out. Probably someday somebody's going to rip out the same damn floor. So anyway, let's move on. So I'll start doing this in hyperlapse. And I'll let you guys watch that. And then, I hope you guys want to watch. And then we'll get all this out. I also have some other things I'm going to take care of. Do a little bit of seam sealing. Stick around. We'll watch some of that stuff. I'm just kind of working my way around here. I just made this little piece here. I gotta make something for here. Some guys think maybe replacing the whole thing is easier. There's nothing easy on the whole front. This can take days to do just this area, regardless of whether you replace the whole thing or not. I don't know. It's kind of a catch-22. Easier to replace the whole thing, not. It just all depends, because remember, this thing welds in on here, so you have to cut it off the frame. Up here, it welds in up here, so you can't do it with the floors in. Well, you can. I mean, it's just, you know, what you do is you just cut this bracket off of the new one, and you just weld it onto the face of it, which is a little bit easier. Then you're trimming the brand new stuff. It's just, that takes time. Then making these little pieces takes time. This takes a little more time for sure to do this way. But like I said, there's no easy way to do it. And I'm showing you guys this way because, not because, you know, the part's 125 bucks. It's not that bad really for this whole thing, the inner panel. Then you've got another whatever it is for there's 3 layers. You got this layer, then you got the layer down here, then you have the lower nose. So, you know, you've got quite a bit of metal there you can buy to do it. So, I mean, it can be, I don't know, 800 bucks. I don't know why somebody give me a number. I don't really know. But I'm just saying, you add up all the pieces, it gets pretty expensive. 125 for this one. The lower one, I don't think it's less than, I think it's less than 100. It's like $50 or $75 for the lower one. Which for that price, it's not worth. It's worth buying it. That's why I have it. This piece, whatever it is, this one goes on next. One of the reasons I'm doing this right now is I want to get rid of these parts out of the garage. I can finish my doors. I got one more door to do. The rear hatch to do. Still working on these here. I just threw some guide coat on them, primed them. They're not done yet, of course. Nothing's done until it's got paint on it. So these things here, I just did these little slick cuts along here. Bend these things up. Then it makes a weld edge for, where's that piece? For this piece. It makes a weld edge for, it's the top edge of this goes on there. I don't remember. I have to put it up there and know. Maybe it was this line. No, it's this one. It's this top edge right here. Welds along there. There's a weld point for here. It's been a while since I've done one. I just don't remember exactly. But it welds along that edge, and you have to have the weld points here. So all I'm doing is just gonna fix this, weld this in here, bend those tabs up, give myself a weld edge, and then finish this out to the corner here. I don't remember how that quite attached, but I'll make something. Doesn't matter that much. It's an inner panel. You can't see it from anywhere. Then I'll fix the other side of it, and I'll make the bottom edge, which is another weld edge for the bottom of this panel. The bottom of it welds to the little weld edge that comes out here. So anyway, that's what you'll be seeing made. Right, so let's take a look here at what I'm doing. You know, I'm not worried about how this looks because this is going to get a coat of seam sealer over all the seams, painted, you know, everything down in here. That's all going to get cleaned out, seam sealed in there, really good, painted before I put on this piece, okay? So it's all going to get done before I put that piece on. So, because it completely covers this, there's no... Now, I figured out that it is definitely faster to fix this one than try and replace the other one. I've replaced those before, and it does take a lot of time because you have to split this metal, this one right here, the inner panel that comes down, and leave it off. You have to take this one off of this one, okay? You have to take that metal, you have to... What I did is I bend this lip down, then I'll just take my air chisel and just run it this way and that way and split them between them. And you'll end up messing this one up a bit. You have to repair it or replace it, which is a huge job too. Go ahead, go for it. If that's your thing, go for it. You'll find out. But yeah, so to replace this inner panel is very time consuming. Repairing it, doing a whole bunch. I can do all these. So what I'm going to do now is I'll show you guys. I'm just going to go through. Let's cut these. First I'm going to trim it. I think I'm going to trim it the other way first. But I'm going to cut. These things would cooperate here. I'll cut right up to. This is supposed to line up with that. Okay. And then I'll cut little pieces. See if I can bend one. It'll look kind of like that, but I'll lop this end off because there's going to be quite a bit of that showing below that panel. It's what, 6.5 inches from here to the top of here. So I'm going to lop off, you know, everything but a 1/2 inch, and then you know, that's how that's going to look, like that. So I might just get the nibbler out. Man, that would probably work the best. What do you guys think? Nibbler? Probably. That's what I was thinking. It might be quick. And then like I said, when this is all done, it's going to be plenty strong. You know, pieced together, it's actually stronger than if it's one piece because all these things are lapped. You know, and then the inner side, I don't know, I may end up welding a little bit on that. And then of course I'm going to job seam sealer, or if you wanted to, you could put filler on the other side. It doesn't, you know, if you don't want anybody to see that you did something like this, it's up to you. Like I said, you could do a whole lot of work to this panel. It's way easier to fix this panel than it is to replace it. So, because replacing it is a huge job. So I'm going to weld some more in the corners here. I don't remember how these were attached, but I figure I'll put a couple more welds there. I'm going to, you know, then this whole edge is going to get bent and put in place before I put that on, and then this is all going to be seam sealed. I won't be putting that on in this video, but you know, I'm just doing the metal fabrication for the front, and that's it. We're going to go ahead and set the floors in, take a look. I'll show you how I do it. So you see the steering column is loose. Alright, that's how we just get it loose where it's in there. And people go, well, why didn't you leave the steering column out? Well, let me ask you this. How the hell are you going to get it back in? How hard do you take it off the ground to get it back in on the ground? Think about that for a second. Okay, yeah. It's much easier to do it in place like this. I don't leave the steering column out when I put the floors in. So let's put them in here. Let me show you what this looks like from the inside before we put any, we haven't put anything on here, seam sealer, filler, whatever we're gonna do to make that look right underneath there. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't look bad right now. But you look here, and of course this looks ugly, and guess what you don't see? You don't see any of this. You don't see anything. So eventually we're going to come back here and clean all this out of here, get it nice and clean here, and then we're going to seam seal up, you know, finish painting all those things, seam seal all that up, and then we're going to actually paint this with a rust inhibiting oil base right here at the top. Really good. Even I don't care what it looks like, and then I'm going to drill some holes in there. I'm going to drill some holes in here, some strategic holes for drainage, which they didn't do very well, good job of when they built them. That's why there's so much rust on these. And we're going to drill holes along the bottom here. It's already got a few of its own. We'll probably just leave that. And I'm going to just drill some strategic holes along there and bend that edge like that. Then we may just take the plasma cutter and cut that off. I don't know. We're just talking about it. Be easier, faster and easier. And just all we got to do is cut off all those little ears like that. Place it in place, make sure they're right, cut off the ears, and then bend them all like that one, cut all the ears off, and then we don't have to weld those seams together because we're going to spot weld it to the bottom piece, which is below there. So let's take a look at the floors. Alright, let's try this. Slide it over the steering hole. I've done this by myself too, guys. It's just a little easier for video with two of us. And then slide it over the CT. Leave the e-brake in place. I like him. He's my buddy. He's Florida out there. You guys haven't watched the channel. Okay. Then what we do is we're going to have to fit these. So the corners aren't right quite. It's a little tight. My corners are, same on this one? Yeah, it's tight on the corners. So we'll fit them in place. So all the little stuff you gotta do. I always have to do that on these. I remember the floor, the corners, always having to bend these. We should just bend them up. What do you think? Just bend them up, guys? Let's bend up the corners. Just like this. Like that. Like that on that side. See what I just did? Here. Let's tweak it and we'll see if we can do this. Tight fit. I'm hung up here. I got it bend up. This corner. He even needs to be more bent. I'm gonna have to slit him. So we'll have to bring it back up. Sure. So this is a fun part. You end up taking them out a few times, guys. Don't just figure they're going to drop right in place. Never works that way. Have to slip cut. Floors always have to be fitted. I'm hung up on the e-brake. Alright, so we got to slit cut the corners right here. I don't know if you guys can see in the camera. Yeah, right here. We're going to slit cut these in a little bit. That's a common thing that has to be done. And partly because of my metalwork's not quite perfect, but I don't know, I think it's factory stuff. Anyway, they always don't fit quite right. I always got to fit them. I'll bring you guys back in and look at them in place. Okay, we got a test fit in. We still got to bring them more forward. If you see here, this isn't quite far enough up. But if you'll see here, once this is welded in place and these are crimped together, you're not going to see that edge at all. In fact, once I get it pounded in and put in place, you won't see it. The other thing we got to do right now is I can't remember where the frame rails are in the design, so they need to be welded also on the frame rails. As help, you know, there's like 3 welds or so on each side, depending on how big of holes you drill. There might have been 6 original ones, but they might have been really tiny pinches. So if you notice there, this thing hangs over a little bit further, so it has to be ground down. The corner, I got a little carried away on this side with the plasma cutter. I'll just make a little piece of metal for that. Just back it up with a little piece of metal, and there on the other side. Then we'll, like I said, we'll move it more forward. But you can see the floors are going in. So we'll bring you guys back in on the next video. We'll watch us do the rest of the floors, and I'll find those frame rails, mark those holes there. Then you guys will be able to see when I get mine in, so you'll kind of know where to drill on yours, versus it make yours a lot easier when you come back for the floor video. But we're almost there, man. We got this to do. We got the inner lower nose, and we have the actual skin, the lower nose skin to do, which is actually not very much. This was a lot of work, but I'm going to tell you my experience with doing these. I would do this again before I'd buy that other panel. It was way easier to do that than actually put in that other inner panel. That was difficult. Mine actually needed it though, so you have to kind of weigh it out and figure out what you need to do. And again, we're going to fill all that in with some seam sealer. We're going to clean all that. We'll probably get that done off camera. Bring you guys back in and let you guys see it later on the next video. I'll talk to you next one. Please like, share, and subscribe.